Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Allcott channel. I've just got in the car, I've just done the kickoff with the boys. It got a bit weird, but it was really good fun. Of course, we watched Spain versus Italy, and Italy are through to the final of Euro 2020. And I think it's a victory for the tournament, to be honest. The game itself, I think, was kind of what we expected. Spain weren't great, but they kind of frustrated Italy a lot of the time. It was a team that was concentrating with the possession, and it was another team that was concentrating on the transition. I think overall, you've got to say that I would say Italy probably got in more exciting positions up until 79 minutes, 80 minutes, when Enrique went for it, brought on Morata, brought on Moreno, and it made a massive difference, you know, and got them the goal back in. Morata, wow. I mean, there will be so much discussion about him. There is always so much discussion about him. And he's good, but is he good? I think people can't figure out just how good this guy is, or if ultimately he's always going to be that rung underneath what is a world-class or even feared striker. It's funny because, you know, obviously the clientele that he's played for, he's been pretty electric, hasn't he, in terms of the teams that he's played for. But in terms of his output, it is so hit and miss, and kind of his career is probably very similar to this game, you know. Misses chances, then pops up with a cool finish that he created. He started that move as well with Dani Olmo, and then he misses a penalty. And there are narratives that will be kind of spun around it, and I think ultimately we got to try and get away from that a lot of the time, especially at this stage of the tournament. I kind of feel maybe I'm just a bit hardened by this tournament, but I'm sort of weary of any kind of romanticism a little bit at this stage. I think every game is such fine margins. And even this game where, you know, Italy had moments, Spain had moments, a draw was probably a fair result, and it going to penalties, it then becomes a lottery. And I did say on the kickoff, it's interesting that 8 of the 10 occasions where a team has had a penalty shootout, then had another penalty shootout, 8 times out of 10 they've lost. Switzerland in the last round, if you look at that, that's what happened to them in the second time it came round. And then for Spain, it was their turn tonight. Spain going out and Italy going through. And as I say, I think this is a real triumph for the competition. I think you want those things to happen. And Italy, in terms of the way that they've thrown bodies forward, the aggression, the force with which they've shown such dynamism in terms of running forward, and, you know, those inside runs as well, and Barella, players like that, you know, Insigne, Chiesa with a great goal, a couple of great goals in this tournament, Insigne with a great goal in this tournament, Berardi's been great as well, and, you know, in the back line, they haven't conceded many. It's been an interesting tournament, it really is, and I'm intrigued to know how my brain kind of crystallises the tournament as a whole when we get to the end of it, because of course we've watched so much football over the last couple of months. But no doubt the story, there's a couple of stories of course, and I think the 3 of the semi-finalists create those stories. One of course is Denmark and their roads to this moment. Switzerland's maybe a story, England of course is a story, but Italy I think is the story on the pitch, because from that first game against Turkey, they have played the same way. They played with optimism, they've played with real fire in their belly, and the spirit is there for all to see. And it is a real kind of mismatch of players, you know. It's not the same kind of firepower or brand power that you see with a lot of these other teams, you know, the Portugals, the Belgiums, the Hollands, the French, the Germans, us, England. They don't have those same names, you know. They've got players that play for Sassuolo, you know, to players that don't play for those top teams. So for them to come together as a side and play the way that they've had, to entertain us the way that they had, they totally deserve it. And what's really interesting is that I thought I wanted to play Spain over Italy. I had kind of flip-flopped over the 90 minutes, 120 minutes. But when the penalties ended, when Jorginho scored that penalty, it hit me. I was like, if, and of course it's an if, but if England can make their way to this final, I think I would have much rather played Spain. I really would have. I thought they might hit a new gear in this game, and overall they really didn't, to be honest, because there's no reason why they couldn't have been a bit too much for this Italy side. But the Italy side, you know, I think they are still to this moment maybe underrated. Maybe I've underrated them as well, with my prediction of thinking that Spain would get the victory over them. It's interesting. Let me know what you think, guys. Do you think Italy are underrated? And do you think they're the story of the tournament? Those would be my 2 questions. I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the comments below. Apologies for doing this in my car, but I thought I might as well do it. I've come this far in the competition, chatting about all the games. Tomorrow is a pretty big one, and fingers crossed it'll be a happy one as well. I'll do a reaction after that. Win, lose, or no, there's no draw. It's win or lose because it's knockout football. So subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. You never know. I might even go live. Who knows? And yeah, like the video, and I'll see you next time, guys.